So we have Sonia Magruder here today. We're going to talk with Sonia about her journey through health. And, you know, Sonia, thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the time to interview with us today.
Thanks, David. It's an honor to be here with you.
Awesome. Now, we connected because you actually own a Berkey water system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were aware of, very specifically, Mike Adams at naturalnews.com came out with a glyphosate test that he had done independently in his labs. You knew about that. You know about glyphosate. That's not only would you say that that's simply a buzzword that's going to disappear into oblivion next week or next year?
No, definitely not. I mean, it's a toxic, dangerous chemical, and it's in 75% of our food now. It's in our water. It's in the environment. So unfortunately, even if you eat organic all the time, we're still exposed. We're still exposed through the water, through the environment, and it's even getting into some organic foods. And also, most of us don't live in a bubble. So we still go out. We go out to eat. We don't always find organic restaurants. It's not like they're abundant in every market or every city. So let's face it, you know, we have exposure. You go to a place that has like healthy wraps and they're not organic, but it's like a healthy restaurant and they have wraps and the wraps made out of wheat. There's probably glyphosate in there. Unfortunately, it isn't a buzzword or something that's just going to go away anytime soon. It's so insidious. It's just everywhere now in our environment.
Thank you for bringing those points to light. So one of my businesses I work with, there's a guy at this company whose dad worked for one of the large chemical corporations who's still involved in the world today, this company. And this gentleman's dad actually worked with Roundup. He helped to develop some of the chemical stuff that went on behind the scenes to develop this. We had a casual conversation without getting into too many specifics. He was very upset when I just suggested the idea that the chemicals that we're exposed to in the particular line of business that he's in aren't necessarily the healthiest. He got very defensive, and he called me about a half hour after I left his office. Yeah, he called to apologize. He said, "Hey man, I apologize. I got so hot about it. My dad was involved in the science, and you know, how could his 40 years of chemistry work go down the drain with people worried about this chemical? We're going to die of something. Everyone's going to get cancer if you live long enough, blah, 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 blah." And I thought, how sad the quality of life that we can have today, right? So let's talk about your journey. When did you discover that there are things that we're exposed to, that are being sold to us, that we're paying for, that are just so not good for us?
Yeah, so there's a concept now called greenwashing that you may have heard of. Yeah. And it's companies, it's usually like the bigger food companies, and they use marketing tactics to make something look healthy and green and make us think and feel that it's really good for us and we're eating the healthiest possible, cleanest thing, which is not really necessarily true. So there's the non-GMO project label, which a lot of products have that on there now. So you'll see non-GMO project, maybe it's a bag of frozen blueberries and they're not organic, but they have the non-GMO project label on them saying that it's a non-genetically modified crop, so don't worry. But it's true, genetically modified crops are doused with Roundup. However, blueberries, for example, are one of the most highly pesticized and sprayed with herbicides and pesticides, one of the most worst of the fruits, like the dirtiest as far as having pesticides and chemicals on them. So it may be that blueberries are not typically a genetically modified crop anyway. So having that non-GMO project label on there means really nothing. What else is on it? What else has been done to it? So I started learning about this about 6 years ago. I got involved with a company that is a nutrition business that I'm involved with. And the owners, both of them, of that company are really pretty amazing because they've been doing this for over 25 years. And they've been talking about the importance of organic and having products that are devoid of chemicals. And they were doing it before there was even a such thing as a USDA certified organic label. That didn't even exist back then. So they were doing it when it wasn't popular, and they were kind of laughed at. You know, they were kind of ridiculed, but now it's the popular thing for big companies to get on board because obviously that's where the market is moving to. So that's where the money is. So yeah, market research shows people want to buy organic, or they're more aware of ingredients. They're being more picky now. So that's where it's going. So these big companies are doing that, but a lot of them are greenwashing by putting certain labels, or gluten-free. You know, yeah, a lot of people can't eat gluten, but just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean it's not chemical laden, or doesn't mean it's not processed. It doesn't mean it's healthy for us. It just means it's lacking gluten. So that's why I think this is really important for people to become aware about glyphosate, because it is, as I mentioned before, it's used as a drying agent on wheat, barley, oats. So it's in oatmeal, it's in bread, there was a thing recently, like a month ago, all over the local news here where we are, and I think national news too. Beer and wine with weed killer in it. Weed killer in your beer and wine. And of course, because beer is made out of wheat and barley. So not surprising. And all California wines, there was a test, all the ones that were tested all contain glyphosate. So your friend saying, oh, we're going to die anyway, or people are getting cancer anyway, is like ridiculous, because we want to live. We want to have longevity. We want to have a great quality of life. We don't want to see our loved ones being sick from cancer. We don't want to get sick from it. So why would we pour that poison into our bodies and our families? Because like, oh, we're going to get it anyway. That's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Sorry to your friend. But I understand he's got an emotional attachment to it because of his dad. So we want to avoid it. And I'll tell you, like, basically piggybacking on what you said about the test that was done with the Berkey, that said, you know, there's a guy who's very well known and very credible in natural and holistic health, and he tested several different water filters, and I happen to have that big Berkey that sits on the counter, and he poured glyphosate into the water and then tested all these different water filters, and the Berkey took it out 100%, which made me really happy, because I have something to get it out of my body from the food that I eat, but I'd like to minimize the intake as much as possible. So if I can drink water that doesn't have it in there, even though I have a product that will remove it from my body, I'd rather have less to remove. So, and just talking about that a little bit, what I love about the Berkey is it also has the availability of the filters that remove fluoride too. So it's totally my go-to. I'm not affiliated with a company at all, but I absolutely love those filters. I probably sold a ton of them just telling people about them. They're the best and most affordable. I mean, for the price compared to, there's other systems that are thousands of dollars. It's literally the best.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, hopefully we can get this giveaway going to the Royal Berkey giveaway system that we're going to be giving away to a lucky winner in your Instagram following. You know, we want to have an impact on people, right? I mean, you know, these are tough things. We talk about concepts and ideals, and so many people have these ideals, things that they say they believe, but their actions just are contrary. And eating and drinking are two things that, very simply, would you agree that our quality of life is largely maintained by just taking care of our body, versus we can have all the money in the world, we can have notoriety, we can have access to anything we want, but if we can't enjoy it with the quality of life with our loved ones, people we care about, or travel the earth in as little pain as possible, physical pain or ailments, then it's like, well, why are you working so hard if you're not taking care of yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, in line with that, like, I have a lot of friends that are doctors that are either naturopaths or they're medical doctors that are going more the integrative way. So they're combining Western and Eastern medicine. And they all say